Hey, it's Sandy with Quilted Treasures and More. I am making a very big mess. I uh, I decided I would try to get the wood look done on this piece before I got on here, and I feel like I just got attacked by the black paint. Oh my goodness, my goodness. And I did not bring a plate over here to put these on so that way I wouldn't get it all over everything. Well, hey, and happy weekend after Thanksgiving, or maybe Thanksgiving weekend. I guess it depends on how you look at it. I hope you had a happy Thanksgiving. I got to spend time with family and eat way too much, but I also got a little bit of work done over the Thanksgiving holiday. So as you're jumping on, just send a shout out in the comments and say hello. Tell me where you're watching from. Oh, hey, Paula. Long time no see. So we are working on just kind of getting a wood look on this one. I actually, like I said, I wanted this part done before I got on, but let me put that in water before I actually get that all over me. And I have no idea where my gray paint went. Oh well, I have another gray paint and I'm going to use that gray paint. So I'm just going to mix a little bit, do a little bit of black and a little bit of gray. See how much more paint I can get on me. So the weathering technique was not exactly part of the process tonight, but since I started it, I don't want to leave it halfway. So all I know you're probably wondering, what in the world are you using? It is a baby wipe. Who knew a baby wipe would be crucial to doing a door hanger or any paint for that painting technique for that matter, but it works really well in getting the aged wood look. Are you home now? I'm glad y'all made it home safely. Okay, so I'm going to go for a little bit more of the gray and just kind of spread it out everywhere. So now I've got black and gray on this piece. I thought about adding a little brown, but I'm not going to add brown. I'm just going to leave it with the black and the gray. I wish I could get that to lighten up just a fuzz. I'm not really worried about it, but I really wanted that just a little bit lighter. It sat there just a fuzz too long. Okay, I think I'm through playing in the weathering look here. So let's let me get this off my hands and we can get going with this pine cone Christmas here. So I've been wanting to do this one for, I don't know, several weeks now. And it's just been one of those that other things ended up jumping in front of it. So I was very happy when I got to poking around in my stash over here by my table. And I found this one because I was like, yes, I finally get to do this one. So let's jump in and see what we can get done here. So I am going to use I'm going to use honey brown first. Yeah, we're going to start with our pine cones. So I'm going to go with the honey brown first and get started on them. And then I had to make my mind up whether I'm going to go to the green or the red next. Probably green and save the red till a little bit later. Let's see what's going to be a good brush for this one. Probably, no. Let me do a filbert tip on this one. I think that would probably work well. All right, so I'm going to spin it around a little bit here. And I know it's kind of hard to see the outlines at the moment. Hey, Terry, how are you? Did you have a good Thanksgiving? Maybe kind of hard to see the lines. As I get it filled in, you'll be able to tell what's a pine cone and um, what's actually the holly leaves and the pine. Well, the pine actually isn't here. I've got to add the pine limbs in. So we will get to that momentarily. But we're going to start with our pine cones and get them filled in so that way you can kind of see what I'm looking at, because I know sometimes it's hard to see the etch lines on camera. So, and I think I picked one of my smaller filbert tip brushes. Probably should have gone a little bit bigger on this one. Oh well. I was looking at, because I'm going to come back and do some shading, and so I think that was my thought process. Even though for shading, I normally don't use the filbert tip brush, I usually use a flat or an angled brush. I did have a good Thanksgiving. I ate way too much. Ate way too much. But had a good time visiting with folks. I will go ahead and admit that I did work some, even though I said I was not. But you know, it's kind of crazy because when you're in your own business, you're like, "Oh yeah, I'm going to take a break. I'm not going to do anything." But then things come up and you're just like, "Oh, but if I could just do this one thing." And so that tends to be my downfall. It's like, "Oh, but I've been wanting to do this one, or I've been waiting to paint this one and now I have a chance." And it was probably a good thing I didn't get over here and actually look through my stash, because if I had, I probably would have painted this one over the holiday, because this is one I've been wanting to paint for a while. But that's okay. Depending upon what you have going on, sometimes it might be a good thing to get a little work in on the holiday, depending upon what your work is. Sometimes I don't think about this as being work. I will say I have been very blessed between this and the job that I had before coming into business full time. Neither one really seemed like a job or work. And so I just had a good time with it. Now, was it always peachy keen and no stress and you know, roses and all that? No. No, there were some days where, things were going on and you had to fight alligators and you wanted to pull your hair out or pull somebody else's hair out. I'm ready to be past this. Oh, you're ready to be past this whole holiday season? Or just ready to be over Thanksgiving, which Thanksgiving, I guess, is kinda sorta technically over with, but hey, I've talked to a few people and, the holidays can become quite crazy, especially when you have kids and grandkids. It just kinda, things that they're involved in, and you're going and you're doing. But, I had a boss who used to tell me, everything has a season, and enjoy the season you're in because seasons change. And what you look at now is, oh my gosh, my life is so insane and it won't stop. It will stop. One day the kids will grow up, the grandkids will grow up, and it will all change. And you'll look back and think, man, if I could have just one crazy day like I used to have. So, yes, while I do have days where I sit and go, oh my goodness, can I just have one 5-minute time point where I am not, like bombarded with something? There are other days when I think, you know what? This is all a season, and even the crazy points I need to enjoy because they won't be here forever. Sometimes you just have to push pause and you just have to take the whole picture into perspective rather than the craziness that's going on in that very moment. And that's hard to do. Okay, so now, well, on camera, they just look like little brown. They actually remind me of haystacks looking at it in the camera. If you know what haystacks are, they're actually it's a candy that my mom used to make. It has chow mein noodles and butterscotch morsels and peanuts, and you mix it all together. You melt the morsels, and then you pour in the chow mein noodles and the peanuts, and you mix it all together, and you lay it out on wax paper and let them dry, or harden. Not well, yeah, I guess dry. Yeah, the painter's coming out in me. Let it dry. You let them stiffen up. And then you have, little haystacks, and so I love those things, oh my gosh. I love it, but anyway, this reminds me of those little haystacks because they have that, kinda butterscotch color to them, but they are actually pine cones. You'll get to see that a little more. Yes, we do get stuck in our little worlds, Terry, you are right, we do. We get so crazy busy and caught up in everything, and sometimes I'll talk about these things and it's more me preaching to the choir. I mean, not preaching to the choir. It's me preaching to me and you just get to listen in on my sermon. So, I had a pastor say that once. He's like, "Y'all understand I'm preaching to myself and I'm just letting y'all listen to me preach, right?" So, you've never heard of haystacks? Oh my goodness, I love haystacks. They make wonderful fall um, snacks. I always thought of them in the fall time because that's usually when my mom would make them. And they were always so good. You can actually change it up a little bit and I think add marshmallows and, they do them around Christmas time, and they may change it to chocolate instead of butterscotch. I'm trying to remember. I never had those. We always did haystacks, but I think they have something to do with Christmas when they're done with chocolate and adding marshmallows. Maybe marshmallows instead of peanuts. I don't know, I'd add both. I would add both. That just sounds good to me. All right, I don't want to use the filbert tip brush for the dark. Do I have a small one over here? Yes, I do. Okay, good deal. Let's do a little, I may have to get a little bit of, oh, this may not be dark enough. Oh, I don't know. That might be dark enough. I don't know. I may go with dark chocolate. Of course, I like to use the dark chocolate on a lot of things, so I may change or add a little dark chocolate to this. I don't know. Let me do a couple more and look at it. This is actually, I've got the honey brown on here and now I'm using sable brown. And I don't really want all of them to look, exactly the same. So some of them might have a little bit lighter shading than others. And I've thought about adding maybe a little white, like maybe a little snow. I don't want to use snow text because, oh my goodness, I don't want everything to have snow text on it, even though it's tempting. I have a Santa Claus head over here, and I keep telling myself, okay, look, this one, just paint this one. Don't add a bunch of snow text to this one. But it just looks so cool when it's all in his beard and on his fluffy hat. So, okay, maybe that's not too bad. It's not like this bold uh, shadow or shading. So I kind of like the way that looks. I'm kind of going with this one, kind of liking this one. Yep, need a little more. So these I'm not really shading. I'm just kind of doing a quick little motion with my hand and just kind of adding a little bit of color to some of the smaller ones. I may have to get a smaller brush for this one because this one gets teeny tiny. But I just want a little bit of a shadow just so you can tell, how when they start to curl over, the tops have that little dark place on them as they start to open up. And even when they're closed, you can still see that it's um, a little dark on the top. Okay, so we're going to let those sit and see how they turn out. Next, I'm going to work on the green because I want the holly. And I am thinking festive green is always the one I go to. And I really thought about doing a little bit brighter, but I don't know. No, I don't like foliage, and I really don't want to do sour apple. Sour apple makes me think of the neon color in the beach ball that I do. I'm like, no, I really don't want that to be the holly color. I don't want it to remind me of the beach ball. Okay, there's a good bit of holly on this. And then I still have to add in the pine. So let's see. These, I'm going to use a round brush on these just because these kind of get small in some places. And these are going to take a couple of coats because the festive green is not a color that coats well the first time around. So we're just going to work our way around all of our little holly leaves. I have got to get caught up on picture taking. I've been taking just the pictures of some of these as they're sitting on my table here after I finish them up, but I have got to get some good background shots, especially of the Christmas church that I did. I got it finished up and seal coated, but I did not get a final shot of that one. So besides door hanger orders and mug orders and tumbler orders, I actually have some tumbler orders and some case orders. And in case you're wondering, what in the world is a case? Well, I have these little zipper, they're pouches. They're actually could be used for coin purses, but they are great for AirPods or earbuds and make great stocking stuffers. So I have been doing some of those. And the mugs are the 15-ounce ceramic mugs. And I've got multiples of those that I've got to get done this week. I've got a few tumblers. I've got a few door hangers sitting over here that we just got cut this afternoon. So they will get started tomorrow. They'll start with their base coat where I white coat them. And then we start working on them from there. Oh, you love your gnome mug. I'm so glad. I've got another order for a gnome mug that I have got to get done this week. I think he looks so cute. I actually have one that I did the same time I did yours, and it ended up getting messed up. And I keep thinking somehow, some way, I'm gonna get it straightened out so that I'll have one. I end up with the examples or the slight imperfections. So that's how my collection grows. Well, I say I do. It's either me or my daughter because she claims a lot of stuff. It's like, "Oh, well, this was your test one. I want it." Like, oh my goodness. So I always try to do samples, like T-shirts. When I'm doing T-shirts for a company or something, or a group, I try to do samples, and so sometimes the sample is the final, and then sometimes the sample is not, and so sometimes we tweak it. But sometimes she gets the samples, sometimes I get the samples. And they usually end up being just extra shirts that we wear here around the house or something. Because I I tend not to run around sporting other people's orders. But they either were not what the final product was supposed to be, or they had an imperfection of some sort. And so it's really not a shirt that I would wear out to events or stuff. So it usually becomes lounge shirts or work-in shirts. So, okay, somehow, some way, I managed to get. I don't know if I flicked my brush or what, and I didn't even see it. And then I stuck my hand in the brown paint. So this is just going to be a night where I'm wearing paint, I guess. No, I didn't catch it early enough. All right, come on. May have to do a slight touch up. Yep, I'm gonna have to do a touch up. Two of those will get covered by the green, so I'm not really worried about that. I love the festive green, as this one's called, for all the Christmas stuff. That and the springtime stuff. I think it's a really good green for both those seasons. On leaves and things, I tend to use a lot of the Hauser green colors. So, baby wipes to the rescue. Always. Oh my gosh, if there had been a run on baby wipes like there was toilet paper when COVID hit, there would have been some painters that would have had to go into therapy. I'll just go ahead and admit that now. Some of us would have had to go through therapy for that because it was like, oh my gosh, how would we ever survive without baby wipes? Some of us would probably learn how to make the homemade ones. Did you see my snowman? I saw all the different snowmen, that you painted because they looked so cool. You did an awesome job on that, Terry. I loved all those little snowmen. Was that one of Erica's templates? I saw it from somewhere, but I can't remember which one I saw it listed with. I think it was Erica. Yes, Erica, okay. She has some cute stuff. First quarter of the year is always, I won't say a completely quiet quarter because I've had some first quarters that have had, a good bit of sales. People coming off Christmas going, "Okay, I want one of those for next year, and I wanna pack it up with my decorations so I don't have to remember next year." So, I've actually been January still creating, painting Christmas door hangers. So, that's always cool. You get to Christmas a little bit longer. So, I don't mind that at all. So if you miss this go around or if you miss before the deadline of getting in your door hanger order, just catch me after Christmas and I can get you squared away for next year. You go ahead and get it out of the way. Speaking of cutoff dates, I am getting ready to announce the cutoff date this week for orders. So that way I'll have time to, take care of my family and get Christmas done. We actually had rain come in yesterday, and I did not get any of the Christmas stuff out. So my daughter and I were riding around. Uh, we were out last night. We were riding around last night on our way home. We were looking at all the Christmas lights, and I was like, "Oh man!" But it had just been most of those. I think actually had theirs up right after Thanksgiving, like that evening. And I'll be real honest with you, I was just too stuffed. I was just like, "Mm-mm, I'm not getting on a ladder. I'm not dragging stuff out. I'm just gonna." I piled up on the couch and I watched some TV shows and some things, movies and whatnot. So I was just done Thanksgiving Day. I'm like, no, I'm not decorating. And then, like I said, I was going to do it yesterday, and that just did not happen. So, but it's okay. We'll get it done this week. We shall get it done this week. Okay, so there is round one. So I'm going to turn it back around this way. So now you can kind of see we've got our pine cones and we've got our leaves coming into play. These are the holly leaves, and I've got some holly berries, and I've got some more leaves, but they're actually going to be a different color. They're not holly leaves. So we're going to do those a little bit different here in a few minutes. I'm going to get one more coat on my holly leaves. I may have to do a third, but for right now, I'm just going to do two and move on. Now, the branch that all these leaves are on, I'm going to get probably my Hauser medium green and use that for the branch. And I may come back with sable, which is the brown that I used with the honey brown, the darker brown I used on the pine cones. I may come back with sable to get some of these uh, limbs where the holly berries are. I have fun doing some of the whimsical stuff, the Santa Clauses, the gnomes. I have fun doing that. But there's times where I just really enjoy painting something that has, portions or aspects of nature to it. So, like this one, I've been wanting to do this one. The first time I saw it in the list of templates, because I purchased templates from uh, southernadornaments.com, shopdoorhangers.com. I purchased templates from her, from Tamara. And when I saw this one in the list, I was like, oh, yes, I have got to paint that one. Now, with that being said, I am the same way about anything that comes up with the beach or seashells or crabs or any aspect of the ocean because I'm the same way. It's really weird because I love the ocean. I love being on the beach. I don't live on the beach, but I'm close to the beach. But there are times when I do enjoy um, just getting off kind of in the woods, especially in the fall when the colors are really pretty. Now, I'm not a beach baby as far as, hanging out on the beach all summer long because I am a fair skinned child that burns very easily. So I do not fare well to stay out in the sun for long periods of time. So my favorite time to go to the beach is actually in the evenings and watch the sunset, walk along the beach, hang out, check out the moon rise. So that's my favorite time to be at the beach. So I actually get there as everybody's leaving. You love doing the realistic ones too. Yes, I do too, Terry. I actually, I actually created a door hanger and I haven't painted it yet. I may paint it on Alive, but I actually created a door hanger that is a barn scene with a red bird with a cardinal. So it's kind of got some aspects of my business in it. And so I was super excited when I put it together and I can't wait to actually get it painted. It's more of a winter door hanger rather than a Christmas door hanger. And so I'm not in a hurry to get it done before Christmas, but I can't wait to get it painted and see what it looks like as a finished or completed door hanger rather than just me looking at it on a piece of paper or on a computer screen. Okay, yay, we have our second round of green. So I'm going to let that sit. Now I'm going to go back and get some more sable brown and I'm going to do the, oh wait, timeout. I said first, ooh, getting paint flakes all over me. Hauser. That's light green. I need medium. That is dark. What did I do with my medium? I know last week I said I was going to clean up my paints. Well, I didn't actually make it to clean up my paints. Hauser medium green. See, I knew right where it was. It was right over here in this general area. Oh, goodness gracious me. This is another reason why I'm like, okay, it's just about time to reach the cutoff of Christmas orders because I have got to get my house in order before Christmas. Or my daughter may go insane because I tend to have a point where I'm like, okay, if you want to decorate, the house has got to be clean. We're not decorating till the house is clean. Ugh, tickle in my throat. Okay, so there is one green there. Do a little bit of green right there. Our weather has kind of been doing a flip-flop thing. It warmed up so that it could rain, and now it's going to cool back off. So fun thing about that is that I end up dealing with allergies that can't make up their mind whether they want to leave or You haven't seen Charlie. Sounds pretty oh, thank you, Terry. No, Charlie, I think, has already called it a night. I think. He could be on the couch, but he may be back in the bedroom already piled up in his bed, so Charlie is 15 years old, and so Charlie has reached the age where I think he just wants to sleep more than, be very sociable. But no, usually he's pacing, you're right. A lot of times, he'll wait for my husband to come in if he's, off or away from the house on Sunday night, and so he'll pace and wait for him to come back, and so that's what you see a lot of times is him pacing back and forth going, "Okay, look, I'm ready to go to bed. Where's the doodah that, the other human that makes sure I get squared away for the night?" Oop, I skipped one. So my husband's here tonight, and he has managed to sneak off with him to go snuggle up in his bed and get squared away and go ahead and go to sleep. He's gotten funny. The older he gets, especially this year, he's reached a point where all he wants is to just snuggle and just get attention. So Charlie's a funny puppy. But that's why you haven't seen him. When I do my lives, uh, my husband usually heads to the back so that way he can watch TV and not interrupt me or have it in the background of the video. So, of course, that doesn't mean that Charlie won't wake up and decide, hey, I need to go see what everybody's doing and venture around the house for 45 minutes. A beagle and a mixed lab. I had a basset hound. Um, I actually had him for 13 years. I picked him out when he was a puppy, and he was pretty much my first child. I got him when I was a senior in high school and pretty much raised him, and he was a mess. Him and his big old floppy ears and his deep, deep voice. Oh my goodness. Him and his deep voice. Okay, I know I have a there you are. Little filbert tip. I'm going to use that for these little holly berries. And I'm doing them in Santa Red. I'm going to do the berries and the Merry Christmas. And you probably can't see Merry Christmas yet, but we're gonna get there. It's starting to take shape. A little bit here, a little bit there. I know it's hard to see sometimes with the camera angle, and once you get something like the wood look going, then you have a hard time seeing the etched lines. So you can't really see the design real well. But as we get it colored in, it just starts to pop out and take shape, come to life. All right, see if I can get one more coat on here. And then I need to get one more red because these other leaves are also red. And I need, well, you know what? I think what I may do is paint them. I don't know. I may do them true red and then come back. You love the background? Oh, thank you. I love the wood look. I actually had thought about using my little wood tool. It's the wood grain tool. If you've ever seen that one, I think it's really cool, but I have to play with it before I use it. Otherwise, I tend to mess things up because I turn it around and go backwards for some unknown reason. I don't know. But I like the wood grain tool. And I had thought about doing that for this, but I was like, oh, I don't have time to practice. And so I just went with the board look, the weathered board. True red. Ah, here you are. We're going to take true red and put on these other leaves. And then I'm going to come back with probably maybe I may use Santa red and do a little bit of shading on this. I think that would probably turn out really good. We'll find out in just a minute. Let's see here. So I want it to be a little bit different color than the berries. I don't want it to look exactly the same. So I'm going with what is known as true red, which the first coat, it may not look like it's that big of a difference, but as I add more coats to it, it will look different. Now I may not get to the shading part on these leaves or the holly leaves tonight, but I will post a picture after I do the shading. Because I want to make sure I get the letters in and you can kind of see how everything's going to look once it's finished. It's funny because I look back at some of the pictures of some of the first door hangers that I did, and I remember being so excited to learn highlighting with a paint pen or with white paint and outlining. But now it's like all I want to do is put shading in to make it look, I guess, a little. I don't really want to say realistic because sometimes I don't think it looks realistic at all. But to give it a more realistic attempt, we'll leave it at attempt. Having one of those hindsight 2020 moments here, but I'm thinking, wonder if I should have gone over some of these leaves with gray in order to knock down the board look. I was trying not to do through the main part of the door hanger, but that's kind of hard to use the baby wipes and wipe all that down without going across the design itself. So maybe I can get it darkened up enough, I hope. Of course, once I add shading to it, it might help to hide that or to draw the attention from that. Probably could have done these leaves in a round tip brush as well. Probably would have worked out a little easier in some of these smaller points. But we can always turn that brush sideways and squeeze it in those corners. Terry, did you do all those snowmen over just the Thanksgiving holiday? Yes, I agree. Shading makes everything, and the highlighting makes everything pop. The red leaves, that's actually on the example. The red leaves are. And so I probably would have just done everything green, but I guess it's kind of a combination of, maybe the last of fall going into the winter months and or I don't know, is there another plant that has red leaves? Down here where in Mobile where I live, about the only thing you see with red leaves about this time of year, the end of fall going into the 1st of December, is poison ivy. So definitely don't want to be playing with those leaves. And I know this because there is some growing on the power pole outside of my house. Wow, you did all those snowman just over the last holiday week. That's awesome. And they all turned out wonderful. They were just I was like, "Man, look at this." What did I do with that one? Okay, I'm trying to find my favorite brush here. One of my favorite brushes. This one is a round brush that I love to use. So we're gonna jump in here with Santa Red and start working on our letters while we're letting all the other red colors dry. I don't know why it is I have to concentrate hard sometimes on my letters. So I get quiet because I'm trying to make sure I don't go outside the lines. I've gotten very picky about the letters. I used to just correct my boo-boos and be done with it, but I started, I guess a couple of months ago. I was just like, "No, I need to get this done right and quit having to fix boo-boos." I think changing to the round brush helped because I used to try to use either, well, for like this, I would have used a skinny filbert tip because the ends are round. The ends of the letters are kind of round. Not all the way around, but they aren't squared off. If they were squared off, I'd use a flat tip brush, but Santa Red, I have found usually takes, at least for me, about 3 coats. While I am talking about orders, like I said, I'm gonna be posting the last date this week that, orders can be made in order to get it in time for Christmas. And as far as Christmas gifts go, of course, door hangers, but I've not really said a lot about ornament exchanges in the past, but if you are part of a group that does ornament exchanges, we do ornaments. We have done, oh goodness, a few for ornament exchanges. We actually had requests last year for them. I never really mentioned that we did them, but people would call and ask. And so we did a few ornaments for ornament exchanges last year, and we've done a few this year. So ornament exchanges, I've got the little AirPod cases, and most people automatically think that's for kids, but no, I can put anything on it as far as like, you know, I've got some of the games stuff on it for kids, the popular games and stuff, and some of the popular movies, but designs and whatnot that I found and purchased. It wasn't just something I grabbed off the internet. But I also do them for adults, so, like cardinals or kitty cats, because adults have AirPods and earbuds too. And we have to keep up with ours just like the kids have to keep up with theirs. Coffee mugs, tumblers, all those gift ideas. And I've tried to keep prices set within what limits I've heard for Christmas gifting parties. We're almost finished with the letters. And then I just have to get started on my pine branches. So now it starts to take shape a little more. Yes, I like the red letters. I really do like it in red. And Santa red just seemed like to me to be the color that I needed to use. I like the Santa red a lot on the Christmas stuff. Okay, last little curl, and we can start looking at our pine branches to add in. All right, so little by little, we are taking shape here. All right, I had to grab a drink of water. Mm, the dry spot in the back of my throat keeps popping up, and I'm just like, oh, please go away. Okay, now for the pine branches, let's see here. I know there's multiple shades of green. Oh, but it is on a brown, um, a brown limb. Okay, so we'll start there. Get my thin round brush, and I'll go back to, I'm gonna stick with the sable brown, and we'll have one come out here. And then I'm gonna have one come out from up here. I may actually do two from up here, but I'm gonna start with one and see what it looks like. And then I may add a few extra here and there, but we're gonna start with the two and see how it looks. All right, so I am going to use my festive, and I think I'm going to use medium, and I'm gonna need a little bit of dark Hauser green. So we're just gonna kind of put a few of these colors right here together. And I'm gonna keep the same small round brush that I started with. And what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna start with the lighter, and I'm just gonna dip it, if you can see how I did that. Just dipped it kind of on the side. And all I'm gonna do is just kind of lay it on there and come up just a little bit. Now, if you wanted long needles on this, you could do long needles too, but I'm going to keep it short needles. And you can always come back. And they don't all have to touch the branch. So I'm going to come around to this side. And then, of course, at the top, you want to make sure that somewhere between the colors, you make sure that you cover the top as well. So now, I know this is going to sound really weird, but I am just going to dip straight into the next green. I'm not going to, it's weird. It looks like there's something in my paint. Maybe not. I hope not. So now I'm just going to come back and I'm just going to go in between. And like I said, I didn't rinse my brush. So if the needle ends up with a little light green in it, that'll be perfectly fine. So now I'm going to come to this side and do the same thing. Just kind of lightly touching and dragging. And of course, not all the needles will be the same size. Some of them will be shorter, some of them will be longer. So now I'm going to go to the dark. And again, I'm not going to rinse my brush. I'm just going to go straight to the dark and put some dark ones in here as well. And I can always come back and add in more if I want to make it really full. But for right now, I'm just getting it where you can see the pine branch and amongst everything else. And then I can come back and do another round if I want to. All right, for right now, what I'm going to do, I've got to go over the letters again, and I've also got to go over the holly leaves again, but I am going to go ahead and outline my um, pine cones here, so that way you can see them really well. Because most everything else you can tell what it is, but I do want you to see the pine cones. All right, so I have a brown paint pen marker here, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go over. A lot of times I would do this in black, but since I have gotten these colored paint pen markers, I have found so many cool ways to outline and keep it within the color family or the shade closest to what I've been using so that it outlines, but it's not like it's a bold outline on some things, which to me is kind of cool. Because sometimes I like the bold black outline, but sometimes I like a little more, um, we'll say softer outline, I guess is what I'm trying to, I guess that's the word I'm reaching for. All right, so I'm just going to keep working my way around. But as you can see, it outlining it, but it's a softer outline than if I did the very dark, bold black outline. So for my pine cones, I'm kind of liking this because I think it helps to give that shadow kind of look that you see a lot of times at the edges of the pine cone, which are the darker browns. Okay, 2 down. You think the black would be too harsh? You know, sometimes I think I love the black outline of things on certain door hangers, but um I agree. There are times when I feel like the black is just too much. Like I did, for instance, I did a sunflower and it was a cluster of sunflower, a bouquet of sunflowers in a mason jar. And I did all this shading, like 3 different ways to shade. It was like the yellow color, and then I did a golden color on the outside, and then I did a white kinda in the middle of it, and then a golden or a lighter yellow toward the, inside edge. I did all this shading, it looked gorgeous, and then I was like, "Oh, I've gotta outline it." Soon as I outlined it with the black, I felt like all that work for shading disappeared, and I could have kicked myself, uh, for doing the outlining on that one. Now, the customer loved it, she thought it was fantastic, but I was like, Oh, I was disappointed in myself because I felt like I had um, done all this work and it just faded into the background. Some time after that, I did another sunflower and I tried to do the same kind of shading, but it's a different door hangers. The design was different, and to me, it didn't look the same. And so, but I really hated I did that. If I had had the color paint pens, I think it would have worked out a lot better because I could have chosen either um, the yellow or even maybe a gold, and it still would have let the shading be the focal point as opposed to the outlines. So, but I do like it with the brown. I'm glad I went that route. So that's what it looks like up close with the brown. And I'm still debating on whether to come back and add some snow in here, but it won't be snow text. It'll just be some white, but I'm gonna wait on that one. Okay, well, I am gonna call this one on pause for right now. You get the general idea of what it is gonna look like. Basically, all I'm gonna do from here is just do some more coats on the red, and then I'm gonna do some shading on the leaves, and I'll post a final picture sometime this week when everything has dried. And speaking of dried, I dropped dried paint on that a while ago. When everything has dried, and may it'll probably be before I seal coat it. I'll post another picture and let you see because I'm thinking I'm going to add some more of these pine branches in. I'm really thinking I may add a short one there, and then I may add one or two poking out the side, so that way they're not just sticking out the end. So I'm thinking I'm gonna maybe add a few things to it, and then of course do my shading. But I do need to go over these letters again. But this is what it's gonna basically look like. It'll just be tweaked a little more. The pine cones I think are done unless I add snow, and I don't know with the white background. I'm thinking maybe not. Like I said, it won't be snow text. It'll just be some white, probably lightly dusted, maybe like a dry brush technique on the tips, but maybe not. So this may be what it looks like. Well, thank y'all so much for joining me. I have had a wonderful evening and so glad I got to paint this one because this one I think is going to be super, super cute when I get it all finished out. And like I said, I'm just going to add the shadowing or the shading of some darker colors in the red leaves and also the holly leaves. I want to do a little bit of the dark Hauser green on some of the holly leaves and just kind of give a little bit of a shade there. And then, of course, some of the red, of course, it has to have another coat. So we'll get that done. And I will post final pictures. Well, everybody gets to have the holiday Monday or Monday after a holiday fun day tomorrow. So I will wish you a good night's sleep and a wonderful week. And I will see you next time. And again, this week I'll be posting the date of when will be the cutoff for Christmas orders. So thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.